Welcome to the analysis of mock CAT 10. I'm dead sure with just a month and a little to go for CAT, you guys must be really burning the midnight oil and putting in every effort. And one such effort is to score consistently well on these mocks. Now, before we start the analysis of the second section, which is the VA and LR portion, let's go through a small breakup of the entire section. As you can see right here, a major chunk of the question paper of the verbal section was the RCs. There were 4 RCs of 4 questions each, and there was one with 3 questions in it. Right? We'll go on to discuss later which RCs you should have attempted, which ones were worth, let's say, not going into or not wasting the time. There were 5 fill in the blank questions. This was actually a complete set. You must have gone through these questions earlier. It's known as a closed test. It's got one paragraph with 5 blanks, and you have to contextually fill in the blanks, right? This is a new feature that we've added to the mocks. You might have been seeing DR questions, deductive reasoning questions. There were 3 deductive reasoning questions. Easy level questions should have definitely been attempted. While I was watching or noticing how many of you have attempted these questions, it was quite a low percentage of you who had tried the DR questions, but eventually that's my analysis that they were pretty easy. They should have been attempted by many more people. There was one para-completion question, a sure attempt. There were 2 para-jumble questions. Doing para-jumble questions and achieving accuracy with them is all a matter of practice, but once you get there, para-jumble questions are definitely a must-do. There were 2 para-jumble questions of the odd one out. Again, this is a question which will always have a higher percentage of accuracy if you attempt it, so you should have gone for that. There were 2 grammar sentence correction questions. Sentence correction is one thing. If you don't know your grammar very well, I'm not so sure whether you will be able to attempt these questions, but then once you have your grammar basics correct, once it's ringing in your head, once you read the questions and the errors are ringing in your head, you will be able to identify the errors. 5 CR questions this time, 5 critical reasoning questions, so that was another major thing, a major change. There was 1 para summary question, should always be attempted then in that case, and then there were 10 LR questions to round up the entire 50 questions of this section. Let's move on then to the first question, which is right here. It says it's a sentence correction question. It says given below are 4 sentences or parts of sentences that form a paragraph, and you have to identify which of the parts used incorrect grammar, right? Incorrect grammar in usage. And then what you had to do was tick the most appropriate option. Now let's figure out. It says here, I think we've chosen to invest our money in the wrong option since the view from this apartment is not nearly as spectacular as that mountain lodge. I hadn't expected to forego any pleasure after paying through the nose for this vacation. Now, can you, by just reading, figure out what is the error? The only error in the question is in sentence C, where it says not nearly as spectacular as that mountain lodge. Now what are we actually comparing? See, the original sentence, the context, it actually compares the lodge, right, to the view from the apartment. See, this is what it says here. The lodge, it has been compared to the view from this apartment in this sentence, right? Which do you think is correct as a comparison? Absolutely no. The view from this apartment should be compared to the view from the mountain lodge. So the correction then should be between the view from this apartment is not nearly as spectacular as the view. This is what the correction should be. The view from, or the view of the from the mountain lodge. So that's the correction. We can easily mark option B as the answer to this question. This was the other sentence correction question. It's easy to identify the errors once you read the sentence. It says the whining noises that dogs make, although. Now, you've always seen although at the start of a sentence, right? And that is exactly where it should come. So it should start with although most people think, right? That's what we know. So we can easily eliminate option A. And then it says most people think that dogs whine because they are not content. Content is actually involuntary, and is not directly related with the emotion of the dog. That's what it says. Now, related with is not a correct phrase. We know that we use the preposition to with related. So we will look for an option which has related to. The usage of related to, we can therefore eliminate option B since it also uses related with. We can also we have already eliminated option A. Now, which of these two is correct? The only difference here, that while C says that the whining of a dog is actually involuntary, here the break in the sentence and the usage of the is not clear as to what is actually involuntary. See, it uses this whole phrase and then suddenly goes into saying is actually involuntary. So what is involuntary? We know that the whining noise of a dog is involuntary, and that is why we go with option C as the answer to this sentence correction question.